All right. Good morning, everybody. Looks like let's get started. And those who are trickling in the room, welcome. And we hope everybody is doing well and thanks for taking the time out to visit this session. My name is Pearl Matthew, and I'm your room facilitator. And I would like to introduce you to our speaker for this session, Henry Ortiz. Henry is the author of Trauma Through a Traumatized Perspective, TTTP trainings. He's a grassroots community healer and organizer oppressive systems through social justice strategies in California. Mr. Ortiz conducts trainings on leadership facilitation, community healing, participatory defense, civic engagement, the art of grassroots organizing, and trained on evidence-based curriculum practices. During his 18 years of incarceration, Ortiz wrote various curriculum-based trauma and emotional intelligence while facilitating healing workshops to over 4,500 incarcerated men and youth. In addition, he has facilitated evidence-based curriculums at various continuation schools in Yolo County. During this time at Fathers and Families of San Joaquin, Ortiz trained 21 facilitators to facilitate healing at 7 schools as part of the Healing Schools Initiative. Today, Ortiz works with the most oppressed and broken communities as a trainer and consultant. Since his release, Mr. Ortiz has been featured in the New York Times, Univision, Telemundo, and various local newspapers and television stations for his prison advocacy efforts. In conclusion, Ortiz collaborates with community-based organizations throughout California to meet with legislators in advocating for bills that focus on social justice and prison reform. So before we introduce you to Mr. Ortiz, I'd like to show you an amazing video of his work.
Like they were just locking everybody up, not understanding that there was trauma. That fundamental understanding of their own emotions and self-awareness of their own traumas. Little post-traumatic stress that we go through. Who are you and how do you feel? My name is Henry. In addition to that, we also go into the prisons. When you're a leader, people pay close attention to you. The emotions, you're going to fuel that back into the streets, into school. And if I was free, what would my life be? If I was together to strategize.
What are you doing, Henry?
During the work that's being done. I think we're going to have a real solid team. And love, healing, and empathy are coming home to have the right resources. And
We're going to go on deep.
Adapt to society. Awareness on trauma. There's layers of emotions that will oppress you.
All right, with that, I'm going to share Henry's presentation. And Henry, I'm going to give you the remote control, but if you need me to advance the slides, I'm happy to. So I'm here and honored to introduce Mr. Henry Ortiz.
Okay, can you guys hear me? You can hear me? Okay, just wanted to make sure that we were solid. All the little technical stuff and audio stuff was taken care of. Good morning. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for having me in your space. My name is Henry Ortiz. I'm a formerly incarcerated person who spent about 18 years of his life in prison. I went in there about 18, right? Just key points and background. Up in a dysfunctional home, the typical stuff that happens in, Chicano cultures, right? My father left when I was 5, so I developed abandonment issues, trust issues, a complex and anger that eventually would manifest itself into a life of seeking love and father figures and older homeboys in the gang lifestyle. Seeking validation and approval and love and recognition and the violent criminal behavior that I was engaged in when I was affiliated with the lifestyle. And so all that was really just a reflection of a broken child to getting shot at 16 and being in various different situations where I could have lost my life, right? From just that was just my whole journey as a kid, right? Not even entering the adult system, but being in and out of the juvenile system, fighting to seek a better life, fighting to seek a better me, but struggling so hard to find it because I was so disconnected with who I truly was and more connected with the ego, which we're going to be talking about the components of the ego. We're going to talk about the components of the spiritual nature once you find forgiveness and healing. And so eventually, by the time I turned 18, I went to prison, for manslaughter, and and there I educated myself. I pushed hard and went through my battles and got into my situational problems, and eventually learned to channel my anger through boxing, and I just trained like a beast and learned how to box and got into music, started writing music, started processing emotions and thoughts through the art of writing songs. I was able to let go of something that was in me, right? I remember I was before I got incarcerated, I was engaged to a girl that we really loved each other, and we were both youngsters. And when I left, I know I was going to lose her forever, despite the fact that she wanted to be there and whatnot. But I wasn't going to do that to her. I mean, I made my mistakes, and I have to go pay my prices. I'm not going to carry anybody in a relationship while I'm incarcerated. So that whole process, I remember writing a song called "Many Years Have Faded into the Dark," right? But the shadow of your love still remains in my heart, right? It's kind of like the lyrics of the song. And so through articulating these emotions, these thoughts that before were articulated as violence and lifestyles of using addictions and drugs and anger and mental health issues at its highest peak with bipolarness or manic depression or anxiety and some people have paranoia. These are all the different symptoms of a heartbroken spirit, right? Or childhood, right? And so over the course of time, I learned to articulate my thoughts, my emotions, which allowed me to be in spaces with other people who are also engaging their thoughts, their emotions, of their experiences, and we were able little by little process. We've had people from the community, great trainers that were there for me, right? Author Doug Noll, look him up. His name is Doug Noll. He wrote a book called De-escalate. He taught me mediation skills. I mean, a lot of hours of training, intense training, and mediating conflicts, right, to produce results. I sat under a doctor who was part of the development of the victim awareness program, where we were developing a lot of the curriculum and using a lot of the concepts of psychology in regards to trauma and facilitating and whatnot. Also, I became a big teacher of the concepts of the Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz, and was able to establish good relationships with the publisher and continue getting books for free as I started expanding their teachings through an organization that I co-founded called Self-Awareness and Recovery, where we were helping address trauma in people that were incarcerated, because everybody in the 90s, they basically committed genocide amongst young Black and brown people, right? Through incarceration, right? They basically just started coming with all kinds of crazy laws, three strikes, the gang enhancements, gang injunctions, all these list of enhancements of people that have to continuously do time of crimes that they paid in the past, because now this is a prior. You're going to have to redo that time as a prior, and on top of this prior and that prior. And it's like, that's not even getting to the actual sentence of the actual crime you committed. So our criminal justice system really came hard at us and abusing us through the systemic laws and the punitive system. And that only led to overflood of incarceration, where they were housing us in day rooms. They were housing people in gyms, like 250 people in a freaking gym. And so eventually the three-judge panel came in motion, and thanks to the lawsuits and the advocacy efforts of our intelligent incarcerated people that were the legal beagles and some other support in the community of legal advocacy groups that help put the pressure in the light. But it's been a long battle in reducing these numbers. Right now we're at 950 or so, right? Close to right below, right at 100,000 incarcerated people in California, right? Predominantly Black and brown, right? And so we brought this is in 30 years, the system has never been that low, right? And we just really try to resolve our problems, our community problems, and got so disconnected from restorative healing, grassroots practices of just having a conversation with people, just getting really to know people. Don't look at a person more like a statistic or data, and inmate, as they call us in there, right? With this fierce kind of discrimination and racism towards our class and towards the mistakes that we've made without lacking total being unaware of the traumatic and chaotic childhoods that we went through and the survival that it took, and that we're even fortunate to be alive. Even though we're incarcerated, we're fortunate to be alive because of the intensity of our communities that were zoned out, right? Where they weren't invested on, right? That just kept depleting, and people eventually over time are hungry. We have two major factors that really fuel all these other components, which is poverty and trauma, right? And so when you have coaches that are brought up in those environments, you're going to have some really hurt and broken people, right? So eventually, like I said, in and out of juvenile hall, got shot at 16 and continued on the journey. And eventually, but I knew at 16, like something told me, inner calling told me, I'm gonna send your low ass to prison for a long time. I'm gonna put you in that fire. I'm gonna break that ego, but I'm gonna use you, right? And so, like, and there I remember being a juvenile, I was always getting in fights, right? I was outnumbered. I was in territories, and I'm not in territories that are not, they're populated by rival gang members. And so, I wasn't the type of dude that's just going to sit there and take abuse and disrespect. I was going to continuously prove myself, as small as I was, because I had this ego and this complex and this hurt and these layers, and fighting for justice, for self-respect for myself, and to be treated with dignity after growing up in environments where you're constantly, verbally, mentally, psychologically abused. And in many cases, a lot of the men that grew up in foster care or dysfunctional homosexual abuse, there was a lot of that too. When I did a lot of processing with, in my bio, I say probably 2,500 men, right, to keep it modest, right? But reality, it's been like more like over 5,000 men in spaces, whether I was teaching, whether I was sitting in other space, being lectured or trained, or just in the group. You learn so much from the human experience, right? And the impact of what we go through, and basically how that what we evaluate, and what we experience becomes basically our subconscious memories that shape our belief system, that manifest our perception of reality, that eventually turn into our behavior patterns, right? That eventually lead into lifestyles that create the consequences and the results and the outcome of what we end up. Most of us are ending up, dead, way beyond our years. Some of them young at 16, right? Or even younger, incarcerated by high numbers, right? Lost in drug addiction, and the madness, without housing, and the ability or self-confidence to be resourceful and to better change, you know? So let's get down to the curriculum. So I kind of just summarized a little bit of what that looks like, right? So let me see. You know what, Pearl? I think, let me see. I wonder, can I navigate this? Oh yeah, there it goes. There it goes. Okay, so generally, let me see. Let me go back. Generally, anytime we would start a workshop, we were starting with the check-in. You want to check in with the people that you're going to be presenting and opening discussions with, right? And so you're starting with a quick little check-in. How are you? How do you feel? And then do a meditation, right? Even if it's a small meditation, I'm not talking like a big old long Buddha meditation, right? But just at least 5 minutes to really just check in with yourself, and like decompress yourself from all the anxiety and the stressors that folks go through. When you're dealing with life is challenging, life is stressful, and stress and anger will kill you over time. Another thing that's killing us is the way we're eating. Look at all these different two for 99 cents, all these unhealthy foods that are just causing our communities to be obese, to be unhealthy, to die younger not just because of the high risk of trauma, but also because of the way we're eating, right? So it's very important when you're trying to understand trauma and people and community, to take all these things into the equation, you know. So as I'm over here navigating through this PowerPoint and trying to get back to the beginning, right? Um, okay, I went through the end. Here we go. Let me see. Uh, Pearl,
Oh, sure. Let me
help over
share it
here
again for you. No problem.
with these slides. Can you help me out here?
Absolutely.
Let's see. Pearl, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Okay, let's do this while Pearl gets back. Um,
Okay.
can everybody unmute? Are we in a workshop where folks can unmute and we can engage in some discussion? Or is it more, it's just, let me see, I can hear you sharing now. Okay, okay, I need to get back on the PowerPoint, right? Back to the beginning, because I got messy with the PowerPoint, sorry, it's crazy. It's, always got to adapt to the different softwares, right? Thank you, appreciate that. Big shout out to Burrow for definitely helping me navigate with this whole process. So, as we move forward, can folks introduce themselves? If not, if they can unmute themselves, then maybe in the chat, who's all out here? Give me your name, how you feel, and who you are. You know, so just a quick first name. I feel good or whatever, right? So in the chat, we'll look in the chats. What we got? Okay. Okay, so now let's get into it, right? Okay. Do I got access? Okay, I'm Amanda. I'm feeling energized this morning. Great. Yeah, it looks like you got some good sleep, right? And you're excited and it's always good. Every time I want to go learn something, I was gonna get my mind fed, I would be excited because I'm picking up some game. Hey, share a few thoughts. Want to share a few thoughts? Can you unmute? You can't unmute, huh? Okay. Okay, that's cool. We got Kathy, community day school teacher at Ucupia, California. I feel open to learning today. That's what's up. Who else do we have on the chat? Is that everybody? Amanda? I think I see an Amanda here. Let me see. Oh man, we got a good crew. Amanda, we got Angelita, Denise, Pearl, Genia, Lori, Kathy. Okay, we got, you know what? We got quite an amount of people, huh? Okay, hello. My name is Denise. Okay, we got Denise. We got Jenna, Mele. Okay, Kathy. Okay, let's get rolling. Let's get rolling. Thank you. You could introduce yourself as you get time and we'll give you a shout out. Let me see. Okay. Oh my God. What is it about this technology? You know what, Pro? You might gonna have to help me. I'm trying to find the slides now. So I could roll. You want to take the power back and then just roll the slides through? I'll just go next one down, up for to the beginning and down for the next one. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you because I am not. I'm having, how some folks have a bad hair day. I'm just having a bad freaking technology day. So you know how it goes. I'm barely drinking some coffee and getting ready to move up to Sacramento from Lodi. Ooh, Sacramento's nice. Lodi is calm, but Sacramento is happening. So, yeah, no, you're gonna have fun out here. Uh, okay, Angie from Texas. Okay, from Texas, and saludos. Greetings to you over there in Texas. Thanks for checking in. Anybody else want to check in as Pearl helps get these slides situated? Um, is that it? Okay, let me see the chat. Okay, we got Angie. How's it looking, Pearl?
Can you hear me?
You know, I'm going to be breaking down a lot of information, right? We're going to try to go through it as best we can. We're just going to stimulate some thought, and 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 maybe if you guys want to do something on a more consistent stuff, those that are in Sacramento, those that are interested in doing some Zoom trainings, we could explore those possibilities. Christine from Roar, Western Colorado. Thanks for coming, checking in. Pearl, how we looking over there?
I'm sorry if you can't hear me. I don't know if anybody can
Can you
hear
hear
me.
me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so we have 16
I can
participants.
hear you.
Okay. Okay, we got Denise. Can you hear me? Yeah. No, I can't. I can't hear you. Um, can you put the slides on? Oh, Denise, how you doing? How you doing? I think you're muted. I'm sorry, I'm frozen. It
I'm
happens.
doing good.
Mhm.
Technology is not on our side today, but we're gonna navigate through it and we're gonna figure it out. Um, we got Denise O'Connor. Okay. Yes, I'll figure it out. That's what's up. Um, Pearl, how are we looking on the slides? Can you hear me? I have so many young men and women on my high school who are buried. Man, damn, man, man. Wow. You can't. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? No, I
Can you
can't
hear
hear
me?
you. That's the only thing. Is the volume. Oh my gosh, this is. Not, but can we go to the slides, Pearl? Can you put us on the slides? Because I really don't got no access to these slides. I'm trying to figure out this whole thing.
Sure. Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh, he can't hear him.
Okay, so you know what? Let me, okay, I think I know what. Mm, okay, audio. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, 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 yes,
So can you hear me now? Okay, so here we are. Let's go to the next slide, right? Can we go to the next slide? Denise O'Connor, you're trying to say something. The message hasn't arrived. We'll acknowledge you when it receives it, right? Can we go to the next slide? Why am I not see? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so let's go. Let's slide. Let's go to slide 5. We saw the virtual slide 5. You're muted, bro. You know what? I can't hear you because you're muted too. So can we go? Okay, okay, bro. Can we go to the 5th slide? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Henry, can you hear me? Henry, can you hear me?
Bro,
All right.
man.
Henry, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Kristen, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Pearl.
Okay, I think maybe Henry can't hear me.
I
I
think
don't
so
see
too.
the
And
slides,
there's a
bro.
weird kind
Can
of
you hear me?
no. I mean, yes.
Kristen, can you tell him I'm trying to share my screen, but it's frozen.
I apologize, everyone. I don't know what the heck is going on with this. Check it out. We're gonna roll with no slides. We're just gonna roll this. I don't need slides really. A lot of times I'll be talking and I get past the slides ahead of myself. So we're gonna roll.
Let's roll with it. Thank
I can hear
you.
you guys now. I can hear you guys. Okay.
I can hear you just fine now. Thank you.
Good idea to what? Okay, that's good. Okay. Okay, now we're solid. So if folks want to unmute themselves as you want to share a thought or whatever, or ask a question, let's flow it through, right? So you know, what is one thing that you guys would like to learn in this presentation today, on this little brief workshop? Throw me some thoughts. We got a lot of shy birds. Huh?
I really want to hear about ways that I can help my students before it goes too far. I have 16 through 21-year-olds, and so many of them are already going to court every week. It's making them miss school. They have all kinds of issues, and I can't change the system. It makes me so angry and so upset, and but being angry and upset isn't helping the individuals. And so how do I help the individuals is what I want to know. And I am trauma informed. I do a lot of trauma work. I just really want to hear some of your experience and insight of how can I keep these kids from getting into the kind of trouble that can just derail their young lives when they're already kind of one step in.
Okay, we'll start off with that. Well, I did some work when I first got out. I did some work at Luther Burbank High. I was working with the youngsters there. We were going there 3 times a week. We got the population with the highest risk needs, right? High risk traumas. 85% of my kids have had lost a sibling to gun violence in the streets of South Sacramento. And we have these barriers in the system that make it difficult, right? And so this as the movement is progressing so rapidly that it's it took a long time to reach this point in time where we're identifying the abuses of these different systems because they've been like that for so many years, and people their needs don't get met, and they become they end up suffering in the long run, right? So that sounds like a system navigation issue too, and so we could definitely identify trainings at a different time where we can explore the different systems we face, the systems of CPS, the systems of incarceration, policies, probation, parole, the administrative system with the school boards. I know we've done work with the school boards where we were wasting way too much money on SROs. I know some folks had fears on that, public safety with the officers there but there was just way too much. Officers are there to just protect somebody under immediate threat. Like that's like an extreme type of supervision, and that led to a lot of abuse, kids getting slammed and criminalized and whatnot, right? Because these people are expected to hold these punitive laws, and so whenever they catch wind of anything that falls in that punitive law, it is their duty to incarcerate, incriminate, and use everything against you in the court of law, right? So those systems are not working either, right? And so what's needed, and now we finally got the ethnic studies that's going to be coming into the school system that got passed at the Capitol, right? There's been some work done around trauma to create more trauma-informed work, and now everybody's like using this trauma, this trauma, that trauma, But back when I got locked up, I realized that nobody was looking at us as people that were impacted and traumatized. They were looking at us as monsters, as criminals. They were calling the youth baby predators, right? These horrible, tough on crime, war on drugs that you guys have heard and known and the research can show, right? And so, in there, I had no choice but to get to tap into why did I end up in here? How does a kid who was 11, right before he joined the gang and saying, "Oh, Lord, I'm not ever going to get into a gang because I know I'm either going to end up dead or incarcerated," still gets seduced, still gets driven and goes full force, committed to this life, hurting other brown people just like me or people of color who were in that same mindset or lifestyle and feeling justified in my mind. That I was doing the right thing because I'm protecting my neighborhood, my homeboys, but in reality, I'm killing off our own people, and one of us, one's going to get killed, the other one's going to get incarcerated. This one's going to get killed, these are going to get incarcerated. So these cycles went back and forth, until the numbers exhaled to 35 freaking prisons. Then they started having state prisons, right? And so the system of punitive and criminal justice, as they call it hasn't been working, right? And so what's needed is more community-based organizations, grassroots, not the corporate ones that like to just do all the nice reports and puffy, watered down stuff. People that are really going to do rapid crisis response, people that are going to be there when you're facilitating. You could sense something's wrong with this young lady. Hey, we need her to go talk to somebody here, one of our female staffs that can address this. This young man's not acting right today. What happened? And a lot of times when I pull them out, so one of them lost their child, right? A 3-year-old child. One of them lost they're dealing with death and mothers, parents going away, they're homeless, all these different things that the school is not equipped to operate. The teachers are overwhelmed with so much stress because now they're having to discipline, youth that have been impacted by a lot of trauma and have a lot of issues and have a lot of triggers, don't feel heard, don't feel validated. So the teachers are frustrated. Their ego gets triggered. They project, the strictness and without understanding, having the insight or the skills to really say, hey, hobo, you need to chill out, homie. Like, what's your trip, dog? You're like off the hook right now, dog. Like, you ate too much sugar or what? Like let's go. Let's step outside, man. You want to set up some time. Something ain't right? Check in. And then, really just start engaging more serious, more calmly, more, without writing them and really, asking who, what, where, when, why, and how does that make you feel, right? What happened? Who did it? Where? Where was it? Why? Like, just let these people, these youth sometimes just want to be heard because they have so much chaos. And so if we practice better core messaging and listening skills, that was kind of in the presentation. We will schedule another community train. I'll put something together once things slow down, and folks, you just reach out to me, send me an email, and we'll serve you justice to give you guys some quality stuff. And so helping also people how to navigate through the systems, having counseling sessions for the parents, where the parents can meet. There could be check-ins where we could feed the parents because a lot of parents are struggling. They have to cook. They have bills. They're single or they have issues. Some have addiction. Some have trauma. Some are disconnected. How do we engage them? How do we have navigators that can show up to the house and check in and assess the situation and provide the resources according to the situation? Different households have different needs. Some households, yeah. Go ahead.
I was thinking that so many of the parents are incarcerated as well. I have so many, especially boys, whose dad is already incarcerated or has been deported, and they're alone. And the only person they have is me, or it seems. And the question that rises to my head is, am I, as their teacher, am I the right person? Or what does it look like to bring people into my school from the community? I feel like there's such a disconnect in my school with especially with my Latino boys, and that I have no one to draw from that I know of in my school who knows what they've been through. So am I enough? Can I do this? Or do I need to look in my community for someone who can?
I definitely think that you can. I mean, because in you they see a mother, they see a role model, they see somebody that really cares, right? And they don't have that. A lot of kids don't have that. So like, I don't care what color or race. A human being is a human being that's showing you love and nurturing those challenges and guiding you through those processes. That's always a positive. So I definitely would encourage that. And a lot of it is networking. Where are you located at, Christine? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm in Western Colorado, in the middle of nowhere,
Wow.
in the country.
Wow.
Just a tiny little town with nothing around us. And I have, our population is a mess. I mean, there are drugs, there's crime. It's just really sad.
Okay.
And so getting these kids educated is the last of my problems. Just getting them to come to school is my first thing, where they won't even call me or come. When I finally can get them to come, then I kind of need that bridge. And it's a big bridge from relationship and safety to now let's start some learning so that you can get your diploma, so you can work on earning your diploma.
Are other folks facing those same challenges? Just throw some thoughts. I'll give my assessment, but I want to hear folks throw some thoughts. Open up your camera if you choose to. I mean, I'm kind of feel like I'm talking to same. Kathy, you want to elaborate? And then I see my boy Alvin. Alvin just popped up. So what's up, Alvin? Since you popped up, shoot some thoughts, man.
And hi, Henry. We had Judy on our Hoover chat saying, wondering how the compassionate adults like Kristen can care for themselves in the face of the overwhelming injustice and trauma. And Angelita said, remarked relationships and compassion, if they wanted to chime in too.
Okay, yeah. I wanna get all your feedback because I don't want to just come here and be talking. I want to hear from you guys and want you guys to listen to your challenges, see how you relate, and build a network. The power is in the network. The relationship building is so crucial for this work. And I'll touch on all that, but I want to get some thoughts from my boy Alvin. We got Kathy, we got Judy wondering how the compassionate adults like Christine can care for themselves in what. And in the face
Mr.
of
Ortiz,
overwhelming trauma. Okay. Yes.
can you, I want to just piggyback on Kristen, and I'm in the similar situation as her. I question, we've read Always Running by Luis Rodriguez. We've read, Dr. Victor Rios's book. And, there's a common thread in hearing your story. You had boxing, and then they had their cultural explorations, and I'm similar with Kristen, I want to bring people in, or, I want to have credibility with the students. And I think I liked what you said about, a human to human, walking them through these loving practices and things, but I don't feel like it's enough. What else? And if I can't expose the students to
Yeah.
like boxing, I mean, can you see me
Yeah.
teaching boxing?
Oh,
How?
nah, I'm gonna hit on that. Watch. I'm gonna blow you guys out the waters in a little bit, just with basic logic and basic thugonomics. My man Elvin, you had the floor, so I want to get a few thoughts, and then we're gonna cover all ground. Elvin, you want to shoot some thoughts? You're muted though. You're muted, my man. Okay, go ahead.
I just think that as far as Kristen is concerned, that she is enough because kids, they pick up on authenticity, they pick up on realness, they pick up on personal connection, and that's hard to really, sometimes people feel that, it's hard to teach us like a big thing, but it's just like just that empathy. They got to feel that positive regard. They got to feel like you really are understanding them and validating their humanness, and the kids get that. And if they're like, okay, you just got to navigate me, help me think about what to do, based upon your love and nurturing and your support. Help me just clear my mind up and think about what I should do in the situation.
Okay.
And then yes. So I think that Kristen is definitely
She's
doing
on it.
what she can in her role.
She's on it. I don't have look it. So let's get something. Since I don't. Christine says I don't have boxing, but I do have mindfulness, breathing, all that. So look, boxing is just one. That was my outlet. That doesn't mean that that's every. I had a lot of ADHD, hyperness, and I was just jittery. I like to dance. I like to move. I'm physical. My father was like that, so that's why I use boxing as an outlet to process all that extra hyperactivity. But there's music. There's meditation. Like somebody was talking about like imagine what your class would look like if you just started here with all right, everybody, because you only have so much time. But if you have a quick check-in, one word check-in, limited, let's do a quick meditation. We all just come down center, but educate what the purpose of meditating is. I had challenges with my youth at first, they want to play. It's like, hey, bro, like, man, like I have to constantly be like chill out while getting through the courses. Sometimes I have them standing up because they're hyper and but answer this question, even if you're bouncing the ball. But like, how do we get you through this process and engage in this discussion as we dial you in? But you also have to establish ground rules. You got to establish accountability. A reward system always works with these youngsters, like getting donations to have gift cards. Like, hey man, look, man, at the end of the month, like whoever just like here's a Jordan gift card to go get you some Jordans from Foot Locker or whatever, right? And that we don't always have those resources, right? But now it goes more into the other deeper layers is like brother said, be authentic, have something to offer, right? What is it that you can offer if go to some trainings, like what I'm doing right now is there's not enough community healers or facilitators like that are out here contracted because there is no employment. So I'm like establishing, branding us as grassroots healing practices, which is really teaching which you can do a criminal gangs anonymous, a 12-step program for criminals and gangs anonymous. You could teach victim awareness, offender dialogue, the impact of crime. If you guys are out there smoking weed, banging, this and that, this is what you're going to create. This is how it affects your community. You know, it could be lectures around emotional intelligence, behavior modification techniques, communication techniques, and having exercises where they have fun doing role plays. Come on, man, let's do role plays, man. Let's do some media releases. Go on a field trip, like to different historical places, and teach you history from the people that were oppressed by that history, right? And see that perspective, and just having engaging experience. Let's go take you to the university. You guys haven't went to university? What the hell is that here, man? You know, they got a music studio. Oh shit, yeah, I rap. Like, well, you know, they got over here to do cosmetology, like open up and expand their thoughts and their minds, and keep throwing those seeds, keep planting them, because they're gonna grow, you know. And so, you know, and then it's the one-on-one check-ins, you know, and sometimes we don't have that capacity, but like what I would recommend is always networking with other organizations that have formerly incarcerated people or system impacted people, other organizations that are out there servicing. We're revising our curriculums, and our goal is to offer trainings to teachers, and have them teach this to the youth, and eventually the youth becoming their own facilitators and having these discussions, getting credits, because they were getting credits for attending some of our classes, because we, you know, some of the stuff we teach. I write curriculums, but we also have evidence-based curriculum. So we have all that. We have all engage in these discussions to process the thoughts, the emotions, the behaviors, but we also need support from that community to hire mentors, or even training the hall monitors. The hall monitors should get a better pay scale. We should advance them to invest, but also train them with special skills. If instead of paying officers, you know, go protect the streets and do what you got to do over there, man. Like let community build these kids. Let's hire more impacted people that they look up to. They have the tattoos and that they're trying to aspire to be, to make that impact. But you can't just put any person there. You got to have a person that's trained and prepared, and then understands all kinds of different guidelines in school, because the school has a whole layer of policies and guidelines that you have to follow, and you know, and challenges, how to deal with different challenges that happen with these, right? And so with good training, with good people, you can do a lot of powerful stuff, you know, but it takes
But
Go ahead.
What do you do? What do you do, Henry, when you have that, but the outside factors are just too strong?
You're talking about systemic problems. Okay, so somebody just made a comment. I'm gonna get that the comment. Send us an email if you guys are interested in all that stuff with curriculums and all that. I could either plug you guys in, or I can offer some trainings, and we can figure some stuff out, and maybe do some business. You know, on a side note, right? Now to answer your question, now we're dealing with the real problems, and so like in this fight, like, I'm not only fighting at school board meetings, we're fighting at the board of supervisors, because the systems, they're all designed to be very abusive and very disconnected from the people, right? And so you know, a lot of it takes policy changes. Like, what would it look like if the teachers union would collaborate with people that were impacted, that went into prisons as youth, and we have a healing discussion, a healing dialogue, bring in principals, bring in teachers, administrators, you know, some students, bring in ex-incarcerated that went through the school to prison pipeline, right? And ended up suffering. Like, what would that look like, right? And you know, like, I've been in all kinds of different healing discussion spaces, and like when people really sit down with an open mind, you bring a Democrat and a Republican, you bring a Blood, a Crip, a Southern, a Northerner, you're going to see that in a lot of ways, sometimes there's a lot of similar values, right? Of course, there's some differences of extreme. Some people are extremists in their views, and they're stuck in, and that it is what it is, right? But through engaging in these discussions of empathy, you will come to find self-reflection, recognition of your errors of judgment, and through your openness and awareness, they will find that same recognition. But people are not having these discussions. Right now, we're stuck on us versus them, right? And it's back and forth, back and forth. These people have not yet said, you know what? We recognize that we've wronged you in this community. We came out here in this journey to serve and protect, but instead we were forced, indoctrinated to incarcerate and assassinate, right? And so, that's the extremist stuff that's going on right now as far as law enforcement, right? And I don't want to make this discussion about just banging on them or anything, but these are problems that the enforcers of the laws are part of. We have CPS, that's part of the problem, right? They could benefit a lot more from being in healing spaces with impacted people and creating a whole new model, a whole new structure in a model. But because of the way the system is designed, the system is purposely designed to incarcerate, abuse, and now it's becoming so openly noticed. And so many years we were hypnotized. Like I would like say to myself, like, God, why can't I stay out of getting incarcerated? Like the pettiest things gets me locked up all the time, right? Like you get tired of this over time, right? And it's because it took me a lot of years to realize you're a product of a system that's designed. The first thing they ask you when they pull you over as a black or brown person, are you on probation or parole? Because now I know whether you don't have the over 3,500 civil rights as a human being, and I can search you, I can incarcerate you, and basically take your freedom, right? And so, I think a lot, we need to have more community discussions to develop new models. We have to, in order to change the system, you have to create models. You have to develop research team. And so I'm working on a lot of stuff, and it's very, very challenging because I don't have the manpower all the time because I haven't had the resources. So I have to fight also for the funding because the funding goes from the governor's office. Governor's been pretty solid and a lot of our efforts, right? For a lot of stuff, he signed AB 392, the first police accountability bill after they killed Stephen Clark and after he got arrested in a protest and filed a lawsuit and whatnot, right? And so that was a big win. We're changing laws that are 200 years outdated. The murder capital rule, where like you have 4 kids and one kid decides to kill somebody, even though it was probably a planned robbery. Now everybody's charged for murder. Everybody's going to prison for the rest of their life. These are kids. These are 14, 16, 17-year-old kids. Like now they're barely getting out, if that, at 40, 50, 60 years old. Like, how do you do that to a human being, right? And so the research is important. Organizing as teachers, right? And pushing policy, showing up to board of supervisors meetings and these different meetings that the systems are governed by. Go ahead, Christine.
When you said that, and I love the thought of becoming an activist. I think encouraging my students to be activists as well, that we all have to kind of be doing the work to make it better for everyone. But what I kept thinking about was that what tips do you have for inspiring these people with hope? Because I feel like right now, because it feels a little hopeless some days, like, oh, it's so big and there's so much and the problems are so firmly entrenched in the way we live and there's so many people who are against us. And so then how do I, when I don't feel hopeful all the time, how can I lift my young people up with more hope?
I would say, like, the way I was just going to speak from experience because I don't have all the answers, right? But from my experience, I think what gave me hope is when I read up about who Malcolm X was, right? His struggle of being incarcerated, how he went through a dictionary, how he ended up getting out and debating with people at Harvard, from Harvard University, and like just became a beast and calling racism and systemic oppression what it was. He was way beyond his time. He was a threat to the government and the systems. Sometimes your own people that you start off, there's always politics internally. And I see that what hurts our communities are sometimes where we have so much trauma and we're not really dialoguing in a discussion of empathy with collaborative partners. We start bumping heads and there's egos and there's triggers and who has the more line and all this crazy stuff, right? It just gets so disconnected from the work. And so, reading about John F. Kennedy, how he lost his life for making a very bold move at that time, Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy, when, it was just like the 60s really like shut down a voice that kept us like backed up for like 30, 50 years, and we're barely waking up. We're barely realizing stuff. We're barely like some of there's not as a whole community. There's been organizers and organizations that have been fighting for years, some for 45 years, some for longer, right? And
but they've been fighting where nobody was really paying mind to it. Everybody was busy, hypnotized in the systemic system where I go to work. I'm 8 hours of my life have to be consumed to this job, right? I'm so disconnected from my kids and my family. Like in COVID with Zooming, like you're able to engage and relax at home, enjoy your place, and still work. And so, it has its benefits, right? And so, but we get caught up in these systems and these cycles, that distract us from the realities that we face, and like changing the systems, right? We're doing work around ICE, with Rob Bonta, but COVID hit, and it's just like it's pretty messed up what's happening right now with ICE, and then that happens to you too, right? My uncle went through that whole process. We didn't know where he was. The prison wouldn't tell me information. I couldn't get his parole plans ready. So frustrating. And when he go to a very violent area, and I was like, what the heck? I thought we had lost him. And he like the greatest grace, when you don't have nothing, you have prayer, right? And it's messed up because you can't teach people about religion, but it's not about preaching religion. It's just when you don't have no other alternatives, find a higher power, meditate. You know what? Right. You like to write music, you like to write poetry, you like to write spoken word, play an instrument, make some beats, right? Get into boxing. There's all these different. You have to like. I also developed a lot of arts programs in there, right? For our folks in there because we didn't have no outlets. All the funding, everything was just shut out. And so, you as a teacher, as an instructor, it's always ideal to try to find people's gift or engage those discussions. Maybe have what is your inner gift? Write about it. Some people are shy, some kids are shy, so they rather write about it. But then like, okay, now let's go into groups. We're gonna break into groups of three, bam, bam, and just kind of engaging, making the educational process more fun and more engaging as opposed to a dried out lecture. Oh, we're gonna go to page number 9, blah, blah, blah. And then I flunked the second grade, right? I flunked it because I was dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of trauma. I was malnourished, and just not physical abuse and emotional and mental abuse. And so not being able to even focus, being tired, exhausted from so much stress, and like sleeping in school and like feeling so more disconnected and feeling left behind, right? Feeling like I could never learn, like I could never educate myself. And when I finally got the time that I got, I even looked at it in a positive way. I said, well, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna go get some college education. I had to fight for that. I was, by the time I started with, we was 50 students, and by the time I left, we had a waiting list of 5,000 incarcerated students, right? With the efforts and the programs and advocacy outside, but instituting the programs is another issue, right? So I did a lot of instituting of programs, and so I was able to accomplish and get through trades. Like the first time I got my high school diploma, right? And I might have not been the most honest guy. I might have cheated on a on a pretest or two, right? And that's not right, and that's not. But it's like what I gotta do, to get this paper that this government says I gotta have in order to go to a different employment bracket, because that's really what it is. Why are communities of color that are kept in ignorance and cycle and trauma, they can't even focus on, how can I focus on education where I'm starving? I just, the husband got locked up, one of the sons got shot, probably killed, like this is so much stress and chaos why all these kids have so much needs. And a lot of these mothers have 5 kids in these communities, 6 kids, right? And like just supporting them and managing the kids, that's a whole job within itself. Let alone to get a job or go to school, right? So people.
Well, one of the girls I'm working with right now has a baby. She has another baby on the way. The father is incarcerated, and she just got arrested last week. Somebody called the police on her for a domestic violence issue, and I'm just feeling like, what can I do? I mean, and that's just one of so many. So there's so many things that just hold my people down, and it's so every day it's like I just have to find some hope for myself, and I have to find hope for them. But you gave me some really great ideas and reminders, and I love the idea of finding their gift. So thank you for that, because I think that really if I can do anything, that's what I can do, is say, okay, what are you good at, and let's work on that. And so that's awesome.
tell you what, you know, if you could get the students together and we'll schedule a time, we'll do a Zoom, like a 2 hour Zoom shot, and we'll go over some things, plant some seeds, get them to open up their minds, and then kind of engage in a better nurturing relationship. And it's already there. But I'm saying to like, hey man, she's out here pushing for you guys, but she needs your help. We need youth organizing. So we gotta organize the youth. The adults cannot always be the people with the solutions. The youth have to find and tap in that solution from themselves. We nurture them, we empower them, right? And we help them process, we encourage them, we educate them. But like in order to have more power is organizing the youth, right? So like 1 minute left. Keep on, my friend. Okay. Yeah. Look us up. Look us up on Trauma Through a Traumatized Perspective, or TTP, triple TP trainings on Facebook. Or can you screenshot me the notes too if folks want to drop their emails and are interested in maybe engaging in some trainings or working some stuff out? You know, we could do all that too. And so or look me up at henrycommunityhealer.org, Henry Community Healer on Facebook and Instagram, so you can kind of get familiarized with some of the work we're doing. And we'll take it from there.
And Pearl already posted it in the chat box, all his information, if you want to reach out to Henry.
Oh, damn, how'd you do that? Thank you guys, and thank you everybody so much. I'm sorry that we had technical difficulties. Like I say, I want to give everybody justice. If you want to get on some kind of Zoom and we could do like a whole 2 hour shot, I will definitely give that time and kind. So that we can continue building people and networking and ideas. But remember to please network. All right? So
Thank you,
sorry,
Henry.
ran out of time.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience. And if you'd like to get a hold of Henry, my name is Pearl Matthew. I'm one of the organizers. You can contact us through Whova, and you could take a screenshot of his contact information here, or I dropped it in the chat. So have a wonderful day. And for your next session, go back to the Whova app or Whova desktop and take a look there. I hope everybody has a nice day.